Well, goodness gracious, every little thing's got me crying this morning. Good morning, beloved community. Let's begin by just breathing together. So just exhale, let it out. Take a deep breath in. Let it go. Do that together again. Breathe in. Let it go. Breathe in one more time. And let go. So good morning again. As Gitanjali mentioned earlier, we've got a lot of extra decor going on in the sanctuary this morning because we share space here with Kadesh Yemenu Jewish Renewal Community. And all of our Jewish friends and family around the world are in the time of the High Holy Days. Rosh Hashanah was on Thursday, and 10 days the time is open until Yom Kippur next week. Yom Kippur the time ends with this time of atonement and forgiveness and asking for forgiveness. And I love the word atonement because if you break it down, it's at one-ment. Right? That in atoning, in speaking what needs to be forgiven, in being in the healing process, we return to our oneness. Right? And so I just want to lift that up as our awareness as we share space with a Jewish community who is in this process of deep reflection right now, to invite all of us into that time of deep reflection over the next week or so. Just to be doing that review of ourselves, of our behaviors, of our thoughts, of our choices, of the ways that we've shown up. And I just want to lift up that prayer at this time of the High Holy Days. I want to lift up the consciousness of the nation of Israel as well. Yes. To be in that atonement process, to be in that reflection, to be in that deep review. But it's not just that one particular nation or group of people. This is a time for all of us to be looking to our part in the story that's unfolding on planet Earth right now. And to make amends for our wrongs, for our judgments, for the places that we need to participate in the healing. Right? So let's just let that be an invitation for all of us in this time as we hold this space and as we share this space. This month, our theme is Power to the People. Right? Which is, again, an invitation for us to claim the living power and creative potential that is dwelling within each one of us. Right? I begin each week with that, let's breathe together, just share a few breaths. Because for me, that collective breath reminds me that there's something that greater than I am, there's something greater than you are that is living and breathing as me, as you, as us. That there's a more of us that is here. And that when we acknowledge it, when we give it our attention, when we give it our presence, when we say yes to that oneness, it can make itself known. Right? So in this idea of thinking about the power to the people, really, it's about the power that lives within each one of us. That if we truly believe in this idea of oneness, that each one of us is one with the creator of the universe, with the consciousness that is unfolding as all that is and evolving, living through each one of us, then the power that created the universe, the power that created all the discord and disease in the world, the power that created everything, is the same power that's moving through each one of us. It is our consciousness that directs that power into the world. Right? And I've been thinking this week in this idea of power to the people, we at Centers for Spiritual Living are part of the New Thought movement, right? Which includes a number of philosophies and spiritual traditions that all tell us that the power is within us, that our thoughts create reality, that the Spirit of the living God, whatever you want to call it or however you identify it, that's who you are. Right? We all say, I am. When we say anything else, we all say, I am. We're all pointing to that one I am that is looking out through each one of our eyes. Right? So if we think about the emergence of New Thought came sort of out of the emergence of Christian Science and sort of some of the philosophies that came in the 1800s into the West, which emerged out of the Christian churches, which emerged out of the Catholic Church, right? So there's this whole progression. But if you think about it, there's been a couple thousand-year process of evolving our consciousness from saying God is a power out there that is a power over you, or the church is a power over you, dictating how to live your life and how to be, right? From the Catholics we emerged, the Protestant movement emerged later that says, actually the power is not in the church, it's not in the ministers and the priests, it's in you and your relationship with this thing that's outside of you. But you can invite it in, right? And then the philosophy continues, the conversation emerges, and now we are part of a philosophy here that says there is no power outside of you, that power lives within you. Not only is that power within you, it is you. It is who you are. And that everything you think, everything you say, everything you feel, all that you give your attention to, all of it is creating. And as New Thought emerged in the last 150 years, much of the focus was, with this idea in mind, great, you are the master of the universe. You can create anything you want, right? And in the 50s and 60s and 70s, this idea of manifestation started to come along, that you can create. But the conversation has continued to evolve. Because for a long time, that conversation said, you are an individual creator, and we sort of told that story as if you live in a vacuum, as if you're the only one who's creating here. When really there's a more interesting conversation emerging, at least I think, which is not just the power of your and my individual consciousness to create, but the power of our collective consciousness to create. The power of our collective thought, realizing that, yes, you are a creator. You are the God of the universe, here in human form, sent to earth for a particular purpose, creating with all of the powers of the universe behind you. And so is everybody else. Right? Which makes it a little bit more complicated than just your thoughts create, because it's really our thoughts create. But not only those of us 8 billion people who are thinking and being and creating together, it's also we are all living in the effect of all that came before us, of everyone who lived before us, of the thoughts and choices of the previous generations. So there's this wave of creation that's taking place, and each one of us are a drop in that ocean. Each one of us contribute to the whole, right? Carl Jung said to one of his students, the greatest work you can do in your life is to heal your piece of the collective unconscious. Each one of us is contributing to a world that doesn't work so much. And each one of us is also helping build a story and contributing to a world that could work, the world that we're dreaming of, the world that we want to live in. And realizing that in a sense, we're all voting all the time about the world we want to live in. We create through our choices and our words. We create by where we choose to spend our money and who and what we choose to support. Those are votes for the world you want to live in. And I can guarantee you every single one of us has a lot of unconscious activity where we're putting our money and we're supporting a world that might not be in alignment with our values. Right? Maybe we're saying or we're speaking or we're feeling things that may not be in alignment with our values. Right? So there's this opportunity to check ourselves, to be in this continuous process of doing self-inventory. Right? One of the precursors to Ernest Holmes, who founded the Science of Mind, was Ralph Waldo Emerson. And Ernest Holmes loved Emerson. He said reading Emerson was like drinking a cool glass of water. That's kind of how I feel about Ernest Holmes. Except the water's a little chewy. You have to, take it in. It's like ice chips. It's refreshing, but you kind of have to break it down a little bit. But one of the things I love about Emerson's journals, which he kept thousands over the course of his life, was he was someone who constantly did this self-reflection and inventory. And if you read some of his journals, there are these reflections where he'll say, well, I went out today and someone said something and it made me think a thought. I had a reaction. Well, then I had to think to myself, Well, whose thought was that? Where did it come from? What was behind that? What was my motivation? What was I actually thinking when I thought or said that? And he'd do these deep analyses, and he'd get back to these deep places of awareness that there's something more that he's observing, right? And I think that's the point of our spiritual practice, is to be in the self-inventory so that we can clear ourselves out, so that we can be the most powerful creators that the world needs us to be, so we can be the most authentic versions of ourselves that we came here to be. But there's often all kinds of stuff in the way of us actually being our authentic self, of speaking our truth wholly and completely. And so we do the spiritual practice to do the clearing in and of ourselves so that we can become that clearer container. Right? We have a lot of Sufi friends in this community. One of the words that I've learned from some of the Sufi exposure that I've had is this idea that whenever Muslims or Sufis refer to the Prophet Muhammad, you say Muhammadah Rasulullah. Right? And this word Rasulullah, it's one of my new favorite words, because Rasulullah means one who emptied themselves out so God could come through. Oh, yeah, you feel that, right? To get all the stuff out of the way so that the truth can come through, so that the love can come through, so that the divinity can come through, so that the possibility can come through unblocked. Right? And so remember that everything that comes our way is our invitation to do that deep work. But to remember that the work is not to be done alone. Right? I think there's been a couple thousand years of sitting on meditation cushions trying to figure out how the universe works. That's great. Do that. And do the work together. Because it's in the conflicts, it's in those arguments with your partner, or that discord in your family, or that political divide that you're seeking to cross. It's in those places where the healing can actually happen, where the collective consciousness is healed, where the more of us is revealed. Right? And so I continuously look to the world, reminding and remembering that everything that is here for our healing. It's here for our attention. It's asking us for something. We have to be the place, each one of us, to allow that greater power to emerge into the world. And as we do so, as we come together in spiritual community, as we support each other in our grief, as we support each other in our pain, in all the things that we are going through, we lift each other up. And that healing can expand. It can become more. But to remember that we need each other. Right? Humans, we're primates, we're mammals, we're pack animals. We are meant to be in mutual support of each other. Right? And this world that many of us have grown up in said, you're an individual. You have to take care of yourself. That's a lie. You are an individual. But we have to take care of each other. Right? And that's one of the things we're going to be exploring more and more this month, in this idea of power to the people, is the power of what becomes available when we gather together and bring our consciousness together. Right? That's why what we're going to do in just a few minutes, we do a collective prayer here once a month, or we bring our consciousness together to raise the vibration. We feel that when we do that. Right? Marcia's holding, with a number of others, is organizing a grief vigil at the downtown at the statue, down at the town clock tomorrow night. There's going to be a vigil because tomorrow is October 7th. Right? This war that's been going on in the Middle East that is continuously expanding has been going on for a year. Right? So there's a group who's going to gather together tomorrow evening at the town clock and have a candlelight vigil to bring that collective consciousness together, to bring that collective grief together, to mourn, to pray, to lift up the healing. Right? We're going to have a prayer vigil here this evening with Chaplain Cheryl. Right? We continuously want to create these opportunities for us to come together and hold the higher truth with and for each other. Because it's in that the healing can happen. When we think we're in it alone, we can't thrive that way. The true power is in us as a collective. It's in our collective consciousness, it's in our collective healing, and it's in our mutual support. So we're going to do that. So take a deep breath in. I'm going to invite Shira to come up. She's going to play the bowls for us. I'm going to invite all of my practitioners and ministers to join me up here. And then I want everyone else to just take a moment and reflect for yourself, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a collective prayer of healing. And we're going to invite everyone to use the power of your voice, whether that's to speak a prayer out loud, or to sing a tone or a mantra, or to do some healing energy work for the room. But I want us to take a moment, and if you feel like you have energy to give and prayer to share, I want you to move to the outside of the room if you're physically able. And if you feel like you need to receive this prayer and be prayed up and filled up, I want you to come into the center of the room so that we can create an energy here where we can hold and support each other. So just stand up, move around the room, either move to the outside or the inside. Just take this opportunity. And what I want to invite us to do is just speak a holistic prayer for healing. Speak the prayer for healing that's on your heart today, whether that be for the healing of the divisions in our politics, whether it be for the healing of the pain of war, whether it be for the healing of dis-ease in your body, whatever the healing is that you want to call into this collective space, we're going to do it all together, all at the same time. So Shira, give us a tone. And I'm going to invite everyone to use the power of your voice in whatever way you feel called to bring this healing energy into the room. And so let us begin. And so right here and right now, I just bring this awareness to my mind. I remind myself that there is indeed one power, one presence, one being that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe. It is this one that I call God. This God, this power, this presence, this oneness, this one seamless, infinite being that is the source of peace, that is the source of love, that is the source of truth, that is the source of creativity, is the one who is living and breathing in every single being on this planet. And so I speak a word of healing right here and right now for each one of us in this room first. Just claiming that healing, that mutual support that is available when we bring our consciousness together, as we lift each other up right here and right now. I know that the healing is taking place in our bodies, that the bodies are returning to that template of wholeness, to that felt sense of vitality and wellness. I know for each one of us that all of our needs are met, that everything that we need to be in service to the world is available to us so that we feel fully nourished and available, happy and healthy and whole, so that we can give ourselves to the world. To all of the grief, to all of the forgiveness, to all that is on our hearts, I just speak a word of healing right now, knowing that our collective heart holds each one of us. And that as we come together in this moment of co-alignment, I speak a word that our hearts are synchronizing, that our breath is synchronizing, that there is something greater that is awakening from this collective consciousness, and we invite it into our hearts, into our consciousness, into our mind, and into our bodies. And so as we come together as a united mind in this place, I now speak a word into this collective consciousness that we are a healing presence in the world, that we are calling in a healed and whole world. We are calling in harmony in the United States and in our politics. We are calling in a world that works for everyone. We are calling in a world of peace. We are calling in a world where all of the divisions and separations are healed, where there is no other, where we begin to recognize that we are one global human family, that there is only one of us here, that we cannot do anything to anyone else without recognizing that we are doing that to ourselves, that our relationship with the earth is renewed, is sacred, is grounded in absolute truth, that we erase this idea of borders and barriers between us, and we open to this idea that we are one. We are one body, we are one family, we are one consciousness. Everyone on this planet is part of this great wholeness. And so let us remember the truth of who we are today. Let us remember that we are because of and for each other, that there is a healing power that is waking right here and right now, rippling out from this building into Live Oak, into Santa Cruz, into California, into the United States, across the oceans and around the world. The vibration of these words are echoing and rippling and coming back multiplied, multiplied, magnified, expanded, healing each one of us. So we take a deep breath in on this healing. And I just want to invite, if there's anyone specifically that you want to include by name in this collective consciousness, just speak those names out loud right now. Take another deep breath in. I want to invite everyone to expand your arms in whatever way you feel comfortable, to just open up, open up, open up, open. Take a deep breath in, and then scoop up as much of this energy as you can grab and just bring it into your heart, bring it into your body. Welcome it in. Let it land. Take another deep breath in. And I invite you, if you feel called, to simply take that heart energy and then bring it up and just simply place a hand or a finger on your forehead, awakening that higher consciousness, letting that love see through each one of us. Everywhere we go, everything we see, all of it reminding us that there's only one of us here, and that we are part of this collective healing. So I take another breath. We let go. Breathe in again. Let go. We're going to close this with an Om. Take a breath in. So I give thanks for this energy, for these words, for this healing. Remembering and reminding each one of us that we are being breathed. We are being lived by something greater than we are. Let us open and empty so that God can come through. And so it is. Thank you, my friends. Have a seat.